Okay, so the time now is 9:23 in Greece, 7:23 UK, and that'll be 6:23 p.m. in New Zealand, and it's Saturday the 9th of July. Okay, John, it's the Confederation of United Tribes New Zealand flag jurisdiction Zoom global King's Bench global jury meeting. So, okay, John, it's over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody there. It's me and Alfred Mitchell here in Hamilton, New Zealand. So I don't know if we're going to have people from Britain and America and Australia, Canada watching us as they're waiting for answers from here. The answers here with us and what we do with the flag. The main link is the flag and what it has for us to use, because the government is getting away with things at the moment. So that's the main focus, is to talk about what's our next move and how shall we do it together, not just us in our 8 executive group or jury of the court. So the court has had enough court hearings, and now we're spreading it out towards the Whakamininga in Titi, Marae, up north, and those people, Ngāpuhi and the Hauraki people, especially the northern region of that flag, how it was put together with Britain, UK. And there's 2 sides of it. There's the Queen's Crown and Maori contract. That's their contract with the Treaty of Waitangi 1840. And then you've got the King's contract with the flag 1834. And you've also got a hidden contract, which is 1823, King George IV, and the 2 chiefs that went to England and put the land title together in Edinburgh and Glasgow. So those are the 3 different contracts, and they've got to be very careful that the hapu knows which way they're going to go to the United Nations with Jacinda Ardern and the Queen's Bench Court. That's that side contract, and get mixed up with the iwi trust. If you keep talking about the Maori documents, anything with the word Maori is quite separate to the Moai, as 2 separate identities for Britain to recognize the authority of the Whakamininga is not on the British documents, the word, but Confederation is, as that flag is Confederation. It's a federal Confederation flag that the British understands. So there, we're trying to join the Whakamininga and their parliament up and Waitangi to this commercial contract that looks like Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of Britain, and Westminster has jumped out now, and he's setting up a new global Britain, and I've written some things up with him and what he's intending to do to break away with Theresa May, the ex-Prime Minister of Britain. They're splitting off from the UK, the Britain UK, which is us and the flag, and going straight Britain, a new Britain, whether Scotland goes with the new Britain or they wanted to go independent with the EU Parliament. That's where we're in the middle of the decision, who's going to be in the new Britain, global Britain, versus the NATO, global NATO organization that they've been planning this since 2020. Why the New Zealand government and Jacinda is resigned from Parliament, and I've got those on there as well, and they are getting ready for something new and not telling anybody what their plans are. So those are the things we'll be talking about tonight, and what the hapu, especially the hapu up in the northern regions and the rest of the country, has to make a decision. It's either UN, go that way, or straight to Britain. 2 different paths to take for the hapu, and a path away from the iwi, or go with the iwi to the United Nations, or pull away from the iwi and go to Britain with us and our contracts that are already that flag. Andy, you know that very well, the interpretation of that flag in English, plain English language, that you know and the people in Britain know they're waiting for us. So there, I'll just go straight and I'll try and be as short as I can with this running through this agenda tonight, and then we'll have more talk after that about anything to do with both sides of the jurisdiction at the moment. Okay, so we go Confederation of United Tribes Magistrate King's Bench Court hearings, New Zealand and UK, they're joint federal government together, and so that's why that's like that with the flag. A Zoom meeting for Confederation of Chiefs of United Tribes. United Tribes comes into the equation here when it was only the Confederation of Chiefs with King William IV. That was the 13 chiefs separate to anybody else. Now it's United Tribes of the whole world, not just New Zealand. That's why I've stuck in the United Tribes now and Native King's Bench Court, Saturday, 9th of July 2022, and this meeting. And I was not allowed to put any more than 50 friends on Facebook on tagging them, so they've cut that back. So subject to the court jury decisions, progress report, update, action plan, and company commercial contract involvement and agreements for the Confederation and the Home Guard security business management leading back to the Titi Marae, Waitangi Hapu, and the Maui Crown Confederation of Chiefs World Flag Commercial Arm and the Whakamininga Self-Parliament Original Cause and Effect. Today, how to counter the WEF World Economic Forum, NATO, EU, UN, and the WHO threat of takeover of our country under New World Order and UN Army control. That will be next year. They're hoping to get that crash through us and take everything. The court opened the floor to New Zealand to attract public interest into how to counter the current situation, pending threat by New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda during government, WEF, World Economic Forum, and New World Order, takeover of our country by the crooked deep state WEF, European underground corrupt government organization. We all know about that. Threat against it's a threat. Everything they're doing in the government is not for our interest. It's a threat against our nation's people, their land interests, and the financial investors' interests of our control over these out of control fraud courts operating pirate business on our sovereign lands. We expose now their corrupt war system of crooked English language. They started to destroy the evidence and run away from their responsibility for their corrupt documents. The Maui Crown King's Bench Magistrate Court joined its Federation of Chiefs organization to the Hapu Rangatira elders, chiefs, and sovereign people of New Zealand to enforce our rule of admiralty laws over the New Zealand government rogue vice admiral law as a high-risk debt creation war-driven government determined to take control, total control of everything you own, the land, the water, yourself, you, birth certificate, and your freedom and away from you. So that's what their plan is, and we've got this to go by and sticking to the law of Britain. So this is what we have left to do with our own King's flag admiralty law that got them onto this land in the first place, put them on a spot to see who they really care for, themselves and not us, the sovereign people, legal and legitimate land owners. So there, that's the definition of what we are as sovereign people without a sovereign being on the throne at the moment. They're just making it up. She's dead already, and planning for her funeral when it's already over and done with, and they're just delaying things to get the New World Order in next year. Agenda, the global Britain is the new Britain without the UK bit, I think, but Britain is not going to join the EU, and that's good for the Maui Crown and the Confederation of Chiefs, Kings, Flag Partners with a new global Britain company and government. You'll see that in later on. We won't go through that, but it'll be information of Boris Johnson's plan to run the new global Britain company, and another branch of Britain and Westminster Parliament. So there, he's running for it. Number two, the difference between the iwi Maori Crown Victoria, Queen Elizabeth II, Crown Vice Admiral, 1902 Union Jack Sea Flag jurisdiction, out at sea, commercial contracts that contradict the Maori Crown, King William IV Crown, New Global Britain, got that in brackets, and the old Confederation of the original 13 chiefs, Hapu, commercial contract business partnership with King William IV, British Crown Admiral of the Fleet, jurisdiction on the dry land legal authority business. So I'm just separating ourselves as the Crown, the Maori Crown, to take out the Crown and all our wealth trust business as beneficiaries of that trust and wind it up and foreclose and bankrupt it. So that's what we're doing before they settle it themselves and leave us out. They'll do it if we don't do it. Three, the Constitution Sheriff's duty of care to execute the writ warrants. That's the technical name or the legal name of sheriff, is the Constitution Sheriff of that flag, is a Constitution flag, 1835 Constitution, not 1986 New Zealand Constitution, that'll have a problem with what we do with this Constitution flag if the government knows we're going to start using it on them. Four, commercial contract business and hapu control under this Maui Crown Confederation of Global Britain, Royal Navy, instruments.
John, sorry, mate, I've muted you. John, can you hear me?
Yep, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
I didn't, I should have seen it and unmuted myself. So
this is very good, John.
yeah,
I love this.
so what it means here on that number 4 is that Boris Johnson, I'm picking my mechanic's brain is picking that he's going to sever the Rothschild banks off the land and kick them out, and no more Rothschild banks. That's what I see. I'm reading into his video or the write up on what he's going to do with Theresa May, the other ex-prime minister. They're up to this. They're trying to steal our trust and all the wealth from the crown, because the crown is vacant on the throne, and so he's making his move now. So we're moving with him to head him off, because we still got him on our wanted list as a criminal in the government he just ran away from, and he's running and as if he's scot-free, but we let him set it all up for us and then deal with him later and in the court and pick him out. So 6, the Queen Victoria Trust, 1844 head of the trust, Queen Elizabeth II. She's still the head of that trust. Or somebody said that the Pope is the leader of our trust, but not on English soil. I'm talking about England. Everything, those laws that the Pope got, the Admiralty, the Guineas wealth, everything came from England's soil land, not in Rome. So that's what I mean. But the Queen Victoria set this trust up for us beneficiaries. So the Pope doesn't have us as beneficiaries in Rome on his land. And so that's what I want to say to the comment I got about us not being, the trust is not with us. The Pope has got the birth certificates, the birth, like Admiralty, birth on the wharf. He's got those titles, but he didn't make them. The kings put those Admiralty laws of birthing and birth certificates and all that was dreamt up by the Catholic Church in their 1688 Bill of Rights. And so there they set that up, and then King William III came along in 1689 and threw them out and put the Protestants in. And so we're going under the Protestant, way to go to Britain and not the Catholic way to go to the UN in America under the Catholic system of jurisdiction, of where they got the authority from. Where did the Pope get his authority from for his trust? He got it out of the Admiralty of King William III of Orange. There, that's it. And our legacy goes right back there on a timeline of events and unbroken sovereignty. The Queen and everything that they're doing in America is broken. The sovereignty is broken off with the New Zealand government and the iwi. They've got no continuity of sovereignty, which is what they're up against us with that flag that keeps us in a complete sovereignty right to 1834, first contact letter to King William IV. So there, that's legal. That's the legal way to do it. So Queen Victoria Trust created for Hapu natives, immigrants from Britain, UK, living in New Zealand, 1840 to 9th of July 2022 and beyond. So I'm dating it today from 1840 on that side of the equation of the Queen. Ours go way before that, and they're cut off at 1840, any sovereignty to anything before that we go back to by right. Belong to us, they and beyond the business and its entire trust assets spread throughout the world belong to us, the beneficiaries of that trust. We claim its legal inheritance and crown business. So there, we're still in a contract with the crown, the big crown on the throne. So one, the Queen Elizabeth. I'm only going on what I've been researching myself, as there are Queen Victoria things here, land and schools with the name Queen Victoria Trust on it, and we have a lot of information about that, but nothing about the Pope. It's all hidden and dark in his realm under his Catholic Church. King of Spain, Carlos II, head of the trust. So these are things I know where the wealth has gone to Spain, and it's gone to the UN from this trust. So I'm tracking all the timeline of events of this trust. And if anybody else has got a trust of timelines for the Pope's trust, where is it? I'm identifying our interest, our financial investment interest in what the Queen does, not what the Pope does on English land soil and the Britain UK. Higher court, the Admiralty Court, Magistrate Court in Britain is higher than the World Court and the Vatican in their countries. So there, they lost the case in the Brexit case, trying to overpower Westminster and Britain with the World Court jurisdiction, and got thrown out. Number two, King of Spain, Carlos trustee. He's the second trustee behind the Queen, the head of the trust, and the governor of the Church of England, involved with her title. And three, the Queen of Spain, Sophia, is a trustee. She's still alive, current. So there, we got her, at least one genuine one. And Prince Andrew, trustee, he's alive in England, sacked by the Queen to be replaced. So replace him, replace King Carlos, replace the Queen as head of the trust. And that's for us, the beneficiaries, to decide today, before long, and talk about. We got to talk about who's the real trust here and debate that afterwards. Number five, Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister of the new British government without the UK bit. So he gets to sever the ties of the European Union Parliament and government and go with what's left of the Commonwealth countries and its allies and Donald Trump and New America and us, the Confederation of Chiefs, Republican flag joint federal government of New Zealand and Pacific Islands and Britain too. So there, that's what's happening there with Donald Trump and America. They're shifting things around at the moment and working with Boris Johnson and Donald Trump to try and stitch a new company together in Britain, and still under the British flag system. 6, the Confederation of Chiefs have got their own choice in the new Britain. Protestant King William IV, maybe without Scotland. See, Scotland is trying to go independent on its own with the EU. So there's a problem there already inside the new global Britain company that Boris Johnson wants to put together, because Scotland, I don't know which way Scotland wants to go. EU, stay with EU, or stay Britain. So there. Britain, UK, where Scotland wants to go with the EU, WEF as an independent sovereign country. Or the second choice, this is for the Hapu, the chiefs up north, or the second choice, we can go that way with King William IV and the flag, or the second choice is we go with the devil, the New World Order, Pope and Catholic Church, deep state government, jabs, still the exterminate control with the iwi, Maori, pirate, thugs, corporations. That's the way they want to go to the EU, and with Jacinda Ardern. So there, choose one direction after we can talk about that. The British UK Prime Minister Boris wants our Queen Victoria Trust wealth. Why he's I'm assuming all these things I'm saying before it actually happens, and most of the things I'm saying is happening all the way through. And why he's resigning to carry on as Prime Minister of the new global Britain without the UK, and salvage the assets of the failed Queen Elizabeth II monarchy crown, corporation business, and the City of London control over England's soil land. He wants now. That's what he wants. And Trump is behind it as well. I know that the Confederation of Chiefs are in the King William IV flag of Admiralty binding contract with that British Crown Trust that the resigning Prime Minister Boris Johnson knows there is no Queen on the throne, and he is stealing the crown for his new global British government. So there, we're putting that right in front to talk about tonight, and what we're going to do about it here as partners to Britain and the flag. 6, the Confederate. There's a video there of Boris Johnson and his resigning speech in that thread there, but we'll just go straight past that. You can look at that yourself. The Confederation of Chiefs and the 1834 King William IV flag cements the King William IV contract to the Crown legal inheritance. We're going after the Crown inheritance. Donald Trump and Scotland Prime Minister Nicola Sturgeon will make Scotland an independent country cut off from Britain, UK, and join the new global Britain. So this, I don't know which way Scotland and Trump wants to go, stay Britain or go EU without the UK and the old Britain UK King William IV Admiral of the Fleet jurisdiction, or go with it and the Confederation King William IV federal government joint partnership. My estimated reality calculated guess of timeline of events for 2022, immediately action and moving fast. We have to keep ahead of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. So there, it's important we watch what he's doing and where he's going with Britain. 7, outgoing Prime Minister Boris Johnson will keep the original king line for Trump to be King of the Commerce, King of Britain, England and Ireland, complete country, Wales and independent Scotland alive as a commercial contract business transaction. So Trump gets his way over the Church of England and Catholic Church religious legal matters with Prime Minister of Britain, UK government current situation. So there, that's my estimated guess. They're up to something. Trump Freemason Catholic hijacks our King William IV Protestant Dutch King flag Royal Navy takeover as global Britain versus Catholic New World Order Pope Vatican deep state government global NATO. So global Britain versus global NATO is what that video and what Boris Johnson is up to now. And we want to see where we fit in all of that big hierarchy stuff. And so the dragons in Britain are fighting against each other for power, And so we're in the middle of it, like a meat in a sandwich. It's going to, in a roundabout way, for the Confederation, because the Freemasons own the native of the world land transfer certificate of titles, stake in the crown wealth, but we own the trust account business wealth, legal inheritance. That term, legal inheritance, comes into it with the title on paper documents, blueprint, native land titles, crown seals, claims, chiefs corporate against the British Crown business ownership, King William IV partnership flag with the old Britain UK joined to the new Britain in name rights, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying no more queens and kings on the throne, so grab it while it's empty, says Boris Johnson, parked on the high seas with no need to pay the people that the Queen Elizabeth II robbed in broad daylight. Not so fast, Kathy. So that's what they're trying to do now, is to get rid of everybody so they don't have to pay nobody out of the wealth for any wrongdoing that the Crown has done. That's number 9. That's why New Zealand government resigned in 2020. So I'll put that in there, in readiness for their NWO, WEF, NATO, WHO, cabal, Pope, Vatican, Catholic takeover of the world. So it's one or the other now for Maori and Hapu, or both, stuck in a binding contract with Queen Elizabeth II, their savior, gone, disappeared into thin air, where it all came from, Rothschild Church of England, fake illusion. It was
George,
just one big illusion. Yeah.
Just a question before we go.
Yep. Yep.
As you are aware, Andrew, I just want to ask John, do you know what date in 2020 they were dissolved themselves? Because it was this after the fact that when I served that document on them to stand down.
Okay.
Do you know?
No, not offhand. See, I've got the documents there.
Okay.
I'll try and find it afterwards.
Okay.
When everybody's talking, I'll go and look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's there when they did it, and I published it. Now, so private business operating on the high seas of Maui and King William IV, British Crown, Britain, UK, and the new global Britain operating a sovereign business on dry land that is impossible for Maori to get back any Maori land sold by Queen, Bench Court, government, Crown agent thugs. So it's one way or the other for Maori and Hapu. They decide now. 10, New World Government, Klaus Schwab, WEF, America, Deep Dark State. That's Jacinda Ardern going around making new contract deals on their side of from here, New Zealand. She's right in the middle of, they're using her to go around and promote their new takeover bid on our country. 11, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern set up her WEF free trade agreement with China and mortgaged New Zealand 50 billion. Debt, she got the money, is why we put the Maui account debt instrument over her head, and her New Zealand $50 billion debt back on Jacinda Ardern, the living, breathing devil worshipper killer, facts promoting thug pirate head, using Pope, Catholic and Church of England bad gods, Bible, religion, to steal the people's wealth and land by coercion, a prosecutable offence in our native magistrate King's Bench Court, already enforced on her and prosecuted her for her crimes of church and state, with her photo identification behind bars caught in the crime scene. So Parliament here is a crime scene. That's what we're dealing with right here on this court. Jacinda Ardern caught in fraud with her government, private companies acting against our people and country with legislation, bills, corrupt Crown agents named in our native magistrate King's Bench Court hearings, prosecuted, now action to follow. So what Jacinda Ardern doing, selling New Zealand to China. So there's some more contract chiefs and those threads. Question, who is governing New Zealand, sovereign people's queenless country, for our financial bank investment interests if these pirates resigned in 2020? So I've got a letter here that I went on to the Gazette and found and put it on the website and on my Facebook, the genuine letter itself, straight from the government, of them resigning here. And if they resign, who's running the government? Put it that way. So there we've got all the names of these people and the dates that they resigned, and what that means. What does all that mean? So that's very important, all that bit. And
Especially when they're still governing.
yeah, they're still governing,
Yeah.
and they've resigned as prime minister, resigned as all those people that are running the government. So they're up to something. We've got to catch them now. Boris Johnson and New Zealand Navy go and arrest Jacinda Ardern, caught in the crime scene in Parliament, person of public interest running a scam private corporate business. So there, we're really accusing her of criminal activity in Parliament. And you can see that with Nanaia Mahuta and her family. There's big write-ups about it now. The New Zealand News is chasing after her. They're not going to give up. 12, I'm writing this all up for tonight's Zoom meeting today, 9th of July, 2022 at 6 p.m. Before outgoing UK government Prime Minister and Prime Minister of England switches our King William IV, King of Britain UK contract into his new Global Britain corporate business ownership takeover of our King William III and King William IV British UK Crown World Legal Inheritance Trust, wealth assets, land, sovereign bonds, prized possessions collected on England's soil land, not Rome land. So nobody thinks of this or tracks our British UK Crown Financial Investment Partnership accumulated consolidated business interests that PM Boris Johnson private pirate is stealing. So nevertheless, if there's any other trust interest, according to our hapu beneficiaries, then we should all be putting our heads together to claim our trust and dissolve the whole thing before they dissolve it themselves and leave us right out of it and get nothing. You'll get your land back, but it's all gone. And very difficult for Maori to get Maori land back because it's all gobbled up in the Crown land leases. A big lease, a little lease. The Maori land is a small lease. The Crown Britain land is a big lease. So there, one title underneath another title. I'm just going after the big title as a real estate salesman. So there, that's all I needed to do. I was going to have a court hearing tonight for Cecile Hood. She's our PD. She's a PD in business management. I don't know if she's come on or not, but I was going to do her case, but I want to leave it separate for Thursday, next Thursday, so that I've got plenty of time to prepare it properly, because it is a bad case, same as those Crafer farms. It's similar to that, where the government stepped in and with their corporates and took the Crafer farms. It's similar here with a business that's been taken over. So okay, we'll go past that and we'll go down a bit further to page 11. The Confederation. Okay, those are the instruments that we're sticking by what that flag means in a commercial contract business, and why we're using it now for the first time to put on the government, put the pressure on the government with it. So that's the end of that. Yeah, that's all. You already know those are already being, and the court hearing from the 25th of June is connected to this hearing tonight, and everything's still on the record as joining, and everything we talk about joins those affidavit videos. I think you've done about 8 or 9 videos or so far, Andy. Those are all affidavit joined to this affidavit video here tonight as being our legal evidence in any court hearing outside of this online court hearing we have, especially to Britain courts, the magistrate court in Britain and the High Court in Britain and the Supreme Court in Britain, where we don't expect to go into that court. We just put them on notice straight to the Navy, as the Navy being our partner, our legal, lawful, legitimate partner in Admiralty business. So there, I've ended all of that. That's all I wanted to say, Andy. And so with that, I'll look for what Alfred wants, the date of that. Of what was it?
I just, the date that they dissolved Parliament in
Date.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dissolved,
Just official date. We will know whether they did that after the
that dissolved Parliament is here. It's this government, the New Zealand government, and I don't know about the British government, but that I don't know whether they dissolved the government there in 2020. I'm referring to the government here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if that was after I served the document on them on the.
Oh, I see. I'll check that up now.
Yeah, that was the 22nd of December 2020 when I served the document on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's the one that had the council speak to me about.
yeah. Yeah, I'll look that up.
Okay.
So, that should be on here. He's the document here, but I can't. I'll go and have a look. It's on my website. It's on my website. I've got the original PDF from the Gazette.
Yeah.
I went into the Gazette and got it. Okay, Andy, I've said what I want to say now, and so we'll open the floor up and let's have a discussion.
Okay. So is anybody that like to bring something to the table?
Yeah, I would. I've done some researching on our trust, and found out that a lot of big companies are using our name, like Clements and Vulcan, and the actual guys who are running our trust are Grayson Law Firm. I don't know how they got a hold of us, but yeah, it's quite weird. Tepania Trust, spelled the correct way, Tepania, with no gaps. So there are a lot of big companies using our trust. Don't know. I've just started searching it up, but yeah, if you go and look it up, I'll send it to Paul, and I'd like to go further into that when I'm wondering why Vulcan Steel and Clements and all that are running through our trust.
Yeah, that could be possible. That could be offshore.
Oh, it is. It's on the government side of the companies, and that. Yeah, I just saw it yesterday.
Yep.
But the Grayson Law Firm is the one that is running our trust.
Yep.
And I can probably guarantee they're from Governor Gray, being Gray's sons or something. Probably came from him back in 1835 when he came over here and created the fencibles and took all our land.
Yeah, so it's all of that. I've got a lot of research on it, but I won't go back and look for anything. I just focus on Boris Johnson and the corporate business, and you can look after the trust and pull up anything about it.
How are we going with Cook Street, John?
I haven't done anything with it. I've had a good talk with Gregory Cook and Tanya Ramika on my way down to the East Coast and back. So I'll leave it to them and their team to come up with something. I've got the next Zoom hearing would be on Saturday for the writ warrant. So I still have to break up the 196-page writ warrant and stick their names on it to take over the whole contract of a 2-page or 1-page contract for them to carry out that job. So that they've got to look at all the ways to understand how they're going to do it, and I'll be putting a bit of input behind that as well. But I want to leave it because Gregory's using the Admiralty experience that he has, and the joining of that side of the documents. I do the real estate, and Alfred does any other native connections to the land. I get the certificate of title sorted out, and that's my job. Real estate side of it.
Mhm.
I'm just looking for the date of that thing on the. I've got a PDF there on the website with that date on it. I'll go and get it. I'll go and get that date, and then you can talk about that. Yeah. Carry on, Andy. I'm just looking for this thing on the website.
Okay.
That document.
It's just as, I mean, I'm just looking still at other ways which would also could coincide with what you've done, is to bring the I forget the names now, who's in Cook Street right now, because you've done everything that you needed to do to prove them and prove they're wrong. But you could, I mean, over here, let's say you could have took them straight into a money claims, which, you know, after 14 days they're going to default. Then you're going to get a money claim. You're going to get a sealed order from the court. Then you can put a statutory declaration on and give them 12 hours, as little as 12 hours if you wanted to, if they didn't pay up the money that the order granted. And then you could bankrupt them, and then you can go into liquidation and remove them. That could be another way for a safety aspect on the other, so that they can't do anything about, or you could even use their own liquidators. Yeah.
The thing is, when it comes to the claims, the amount of a claim, amount of it, that the court fees will be comes into it, and I just.
Oh, actually, John, there's another side to that. I mean, because how long ago was it? 2014, when you filed, when that affidavit was done, when you proved them.
2015.
2015. So right then, so 2015. Let me just do a quick calculation here.
33. Fucking hell. Oh, sorry.
It's over 6 years. It's over 6 years limitation on this court. So I have to start from scratch. I have to start.
No. Well, let me just explain this to you. Let me just explain this, because you can charge 8% per day on the fine that you're charging them. So for instance, over here, a £10,000 fine that you're asking them for, a penalty of 10,000 would cost £455 to file, and then you get 8% on the 10,000, per day, which 8% of £10,800. So you're talking 2016. So let me just do a calculation here. So 6 times 365 times 800. So the £10,000 money claims court for £455, your 10,000, because you date it to the date of them failing to which you've already got them the breach when you actually had the point when they failed to rebut the affidavits. So that would go back to the 6-year point. So you could backdate that fine to the 6-year point and charge them 8%, which would work out at 1.75 million plus the 10,000. So you can go up to a 99,999, which would, it says anywhere between 5% and 5% and a maximum of 10,000. So a £10,000 claim could get you 10 times that. So you could bankrupt him, is what I'm trying to say. And by bankrupting, you liquidate the land that way to get that land, get your property back.
Yeah, now that's okay, but what I'm frightened of is that they'll set a precedent case of valuation. The values I've got is in trillions. They're in trillions. So I keep it high up so that we make the rules, not them on us. They're not settling us, we're settling them.
Yeah.
If we get around the other way, they'll settle us for what the judge thinks. One human would make a decision for us, and that's the part I'm really wary of, them devaluing us like they did in the past with our land here, devalued it a third of a pound note. That's what they'll do. They don't want to lose. They won't lose if they do the case. If we do the case, we win.
Yeah, because we can disregard it with them because they're subordinate.
Yeah, you could put the claim in for the return of the property and a £10,000 fine. You get the order then. You get the order from their small claims. You bank, remove them. That way you can remove them with their liquidators. To get back
it's the land, that piece of land would equate to all the land in the world on what you just said. The value of it will be on that one court case, and that's how they operate. That's how they do it, by precedent case. And our one will be thrown out of court thereafter. Any claims we make will be subject to that. Just by that, going by historic land claims. Yeah, it's a very difficult decision to make when we are valued more than what they value us. I'm valuing us right up where we should have been all those years ago. And so we're testing them out, and we so far we've got the law on our side, and see what their law is going to crack up when we put the pressure on. We put the pressure on as native of this land, and you put the pressure on as native of the land in England. And so we do the same thing, and everybody else watching will do exactly the same thing, and just grab everything off this website and apply. Once we get one land done, they just do the same, and then they'll bankrupt the whole lot and get those wealth back, the whole 100%, not 20% or 5%, or in this case, the court settling you out for less than 1% of treaty claims here in New Zealand. They'll only just go on what has been in the past of settlements that we're trying to settle on one piece of land, and that's why I'll stick to my guns on what people will say, will have a say in what they think or what I think as a real estate salesman, and land assessor, native land assessor.
I mean, it's going in with the facts taken, because I mean, on the Sean Gizzy McMill case where I've been helping out with what they did on the original court hearing, because this is what they do: they create a fake court hearing to create something out of nothing. So they create an original case number, which wasn't a case. So they fraudulently create a fake court hearing, and they create a fake warrant, and then a fake order, and from there onwards, all the other following court case numbers, all stem because it originates from the original one, which was fake in the first place. So what we did, we went straight in. We got from the Ministry of Justice the fact that there was no existence of that court case, and we filed a claim against the judge for creating falsifying a virtual court hearing and falsifying a court order. And we sued him. He had 14 days to answer. And here's the court order. So we got a court order, which is here. And this is the court order: judgment for claimant, sealed. You have not replied, so it's a default judgment. and we sued him for £500, and we sued him back at 8% from the date of the virtual hearing that he falsified, which came to, as you will see, it came to £12,510. So we've now sued him. Now, we then got the warrant for this. We applied for the warrant for the court to get the money back off him. So he used themselves to get the money back for us, and that now has gone into the bailiffs now. So there's the order. We got it on the 8th of June. It's not been paid yet, but we've got the order. So it's just something what I'm saying about what we're doing now. And once you've got that order, you see, because everything, the way I simply work things out, you can't build nothing. Everything that comes from fraud is fraud. So everything that all the people have done, they relied on the original order for the authority to have done what they've done, or any of the court cases that they've based on have stemmed from the original order, which was false. So everything's false. So every one of these people that are now condemned, we can now go and take every individual one that's acted in fraud and sue them in a money claims court. That's and it's done, and it's being done right now. It's the new process that we're doing, but as far as I'm concerned, it's working. So we can sue them out. We can sue them out. We can without, and this is not causing any harm. We're not being in any way, there's no way that we're doing anything that's illegal or unlawful, because we're not causing any harm, loss or injury either, because these pieces of paper that they're classing as money have no intrinsic value. It's only backed by confidence and belief. So, you can't get done for hurting somebody's confidence and belief when they believed in a lie in the first place.
Yeah, it's only got the confidence of the people that are blinded.
Correct.
So agree with you, Andy. I agree with you. We've got to do something.
I just want to hear everybody's views on what I think, how I think right up the top. This is the world we're talking about. We're looking at the whole world and what we do. And if we devalue ourselves, then the whole rest of the world will follow what comes out of a king's flag. We're pushing.
What I'm thinking here is, John, is that if you're you've got the facts. If the facts are there and you're coming through with the facts, anybody stepping in your way, you can pull them straight into a money claims court. So anyone stepping in your way is going to get stung with a money claim. They're going to get, you're going to bankrupt them. You can bankrupt anyone that steps in your way.
Because that's what will hurt them. We got to do something that will hurt them. Yeah, I agree.
Well, you're not physically hurting them. You're not physically hurting them, but you are in their world, because they believe this. They rely on the fact that this piece of paper, people still need it. So anybody stepping in your way, is liable, because you can pull them straight into a money claims court. We're not going into their court system, because they control all that. A money claims court is a straightforward, boom. It's just like an affidavit. The difference in an affidavit is, they've got 30 days to rebut it. If they fail to rebut it, you've got a lasting tacit agreement. Yeah, it's contractually binded by obligation, because they've acquiesced to it. They've acquiesced to it and agreed to it. But then you've got a piece of paper that no one's listening to, because the affidavit should be listened to. We agreed to, but the fact is nobody is. And even if you put a lien on them, then you can't even cash these liens. So go straight into a money claim. And it's no different than an affidavit, because you're putting in your claim. You've got 14 days to rebut it. And if they fail to rebut it, you get a default judgment. And then you get the order for the fee that you've asked for. And then you can use their own system to go and collect it. Or you can also put a statutory declaration in for them to pay it within the set amount of time you're doing. Failure to do so, you can take them straight into the bank book, just a straight stamp, sealed, done, and they're bankrupt. And you can use their liquidators to go and collect it. Just something I'm seeing right now. Until it's been proven right or proven wrong, it's still a definite way of hitting anybody in a clean and transparent way of removing them out of your way, because you'll just bankrupt them. You'll take everything off them. You'll liquidate.
I agree. the liens claims process hasn't worked for us, so we've got to try the other.
I mean, when people are getting these liens, I mean, because this is what we did with the Baron, was trying to get because Baron had got billions of pounds worth of liens, but it was cashing these liens in. But all the banks are the ones that they're the criminals, and they're just not cashing them when you've actually got the real money, because you've got the actual real securitized instrument. The rest, because this is a promise to pay by that stood surety on it. Your pieces of paper that people believe is money, they just promise to pay, but they're promised to pay to some of these like securitized instruments or bonds that they make them from. So, the real money is the securitized instrument. So that order is a securitized instrument. It's sealed. That man owes you that money. It's a done deal. Just like a lien would be, but only it's in their system where they cannot not recognize it. They've got to recognize it. It's in their system.
I just don't trust them. I don't trust those courts.
No,
Not
the courts, not them court. And that's what I'm trying to say, John. The money claims court is not. This is like an intermediate. That's all they are. You make the claim, they've got to rebut it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they seal that order for you. So it's just like, it's just in my, well, it's there. There's the order. I've shown the order. That order's there for that money. That was the claim that we put against them for failing to, for creating a false claim. They had to now they had to challenge us to say that court hearing was real, which they couldn't, because they couldn't bring anything to it. Because, like I say, for something to be, there has to be a beginning. If there's a beginning, there's got to be a record of it. Let me see the record of it. And if you're and the same as everything else, if you're making a claim that they've got to rebut it. They've got to produce better facts. See, they rely on the fact that you can't prove a negative. You can't prove something that doesn't exist because it doesn't exist, and it's not for us to prove, because it's them that's claiming it. Yeah. And if they claim that they have something, then the burden of proof is smack bang on them, because he who makes the claim carries that burden of proof.
Yeah.
Maxim in law. It's an obvious. No one can make a claim that somebody owes £1 million without producing that physical material evidence. And if they do make that claim without that evidence, they're liable.
All that, yeah. Different kettle of fish, and I think it's a safer way.
When it comes to land, it's very difficult when you prove title and all the rest of it. That's harder than a normal case. This is going beyond a normal case. When you got a lot of other instruments to deal with, they'll always cover it with another instrument. Especially going after land.
They've got to. I mean, let's say, John, you've taken that claim because you've got the claim of that land. You've got the claim of the title on that land, right? So with your claim, they've got to better your claim, and they've got 14 days to produce it. Failure to produce it will be a default judgment, just like they couldn't do it anyway, John, because they couldn't do it when you did the affidavit. So you've already beat them with the affidavit. So if you beat them with the affidavit, how can they beat you in a court? They failed you on your affidavit, so they're guaranteed to fail you in the court. It's not a court, it's just they've got to produce it. They can't challenge it. They couldn't challenge your affidavit, so they can't challenge the court. They can't challenge you in that, because the court's just a referee in that aspect. That's all it is.
So what I go again. So what I'm getting at is when the money claims court looks at a piece of land and its value, and it's still a British Crown land, and it goes into one title into another title, and so you have to unravel all that lot. And a claims court doesn't know any history of these sort of cases. They don't.
The money claims, as far as I'm concerned, John, the money claims is nothing to do with the money claims court. They're not going to be looking at anything. It's you making the claim, and the man who you're making the claim has got to do it. The money claims court is there to hear what it is, to see if they rebut it, if they challenge it. But if they challenge it, then what are they going to challenge you with, John? You've got You've got it. What can they charge you with?
Yeah, I agree, Andrew. What Andrew is saying, if we put the claim in, it's the burden's on them to rebut it. You know,
It's just like an affidavit. There's no, I really can't see the difference between that and an affidavit. Yeah, because you're making a claim in an affidavit and you're making a claim here, and it's before this court that now that man has to come and rebut it. The court is not interested in what you're making the claim of. Yeah, unless you're making a false claim and that man comes and challenges you on it. If you're making a false claim, then they would get involved.
What I'll do is I'll look into it next week.
Yeah.
I'll look into the money court here and see what it's all about, because I don't know anything about a money claims court. So so I'll investigate it next week and see what I can see that will work that way without getting tangled up with the government.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's because that's what I'm saying. It's totally independent. It's totally independent.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with their court. Yeah, sorry, go on, Kate.
Limit on money claim. Isn't there a certain limit on these money claim courts?
Yeah, there is. There is a limit on it.
But
There is. This is what I'm trying to say. The limit. Well, there is and there isn't. There isn't. And there is, but that. I mean, okay, then. So it goes up to 99,999. Okay. So and 99p. So it goes up basically just below 100,000, but you can do multiples of. And the point was,
can I interject? Can I interject?
Yes, sure.
Just to clarify something for Andrew and the whole bench, as far as money court, as a title here in New Zealand, it's called small claims.
Yeah. Yes.
And we gave up the right to sue to over $1 million in 1988. So small claims has a cap of 15,000 here.
Yeah, that's it. The limit. There's a limit on it, and that's what I see in the valuation of any claim, is that they won't entertain it. It has to go to a higher court. Any figures over $1 million.
Then what about taking into a money claims court in the UK then?
No, it's got to be done here at the scene of the crime.
If the money claims court is only a mediator between you and the one you're making the claim against, does it really make a difference? Would you not be able to take them into United Kingdom? Because either way, you're getting an order. I don't know whether that order is going to. I don't see why they wouldn't. Because it's still in.
When you're looking at Cook Street, it's a straight out $5 billion case. And that's just looking at one piece of it. That's just one bit of it.
But when you do the claim, when you're making the claim, you can claim because the land itself, you're making the claim that they need to return the land and pay this figure. When you get the order, it will state in there that because when you filed that claim, is to return the land. Yeah, and you're given the fine because they didn't return the land. So the order is simply giving you the right of the two things. You're fining them for their fee, but you're also in the order it's taking the land back. And then that's what I'm trying to say. Say if someone stole your car, you're putting in the money claims, for the return of the car and a £500 fine for stealing your car. So they can't say that we didn't steal your car because they did steal your car. You get the order from the court for the £500 from stealing the car and the return of the car.
Yeah, so I'm going to look into the British law side and the New Zealand law side of small claims and see if they're going to handle big figures. I'm in the big figures, not the little ones. I'm going right to the top end of Rothschild Banks head on. They're on these lands over here. They've got land property here. We're going straight into their face. Yeah. And they're watching what sort of approach we're going to take against them. If we chip at their heels, they'll just kick us.
Just to point another point out, because this is where there was a while back that I also noticed that when they challenged a mortgage. They challenged the mortgage to see the books, to see where the money they asked him through to correct their documents on a Title 100, Title 18 1001 for fraud and fictitious communication. So they asked them to correct their paperwork, and through the fair trade, they said if they didn't, then there says if they fail to respond back to them, then they breached their duty, and it's £1,000 fine there for not answering them. And in the claim was for them to accept a promissory note to clear the mortgage, and if they can't produce the evidence of the debt, then the debt was to be zeroed. And if they didn't answer you because they failed in the fair trades of how to answer, I think it's not fair trade, but in this other application of law where they have to respond back to you, and if they fail to respond back to you, it's £1,000 fine. So you put all this in with the evidence, and then you take it through, because then you hit them with the bill for the £1,000 because they didn't answer you back, because they'll just ignore, because that's all they can do. Then you take them to the small claims for the £1,000 fine and the zeroing of the debt. So it squashed the mortgage. And that's how they was doing it, through the small claims. So the figures immaterial. I mean, again, what you was just saying there about the 15,000, the figure, because it's not about the money. Well, I'm not interested in the money, but the point is, it's proving the crime and getting back what's owed, what they've taken off you, and what they're claiming squashed. If they're claiming you owe them something, getting it squashed.
See, I don't want to contest them. I just putting control over them and the land. It's having control of the land. We're making a profile here of one bit of land to profile ourselves. They're looking at how professional we are at valuing something up, like real estate. If you go and value it small, you're going to get a small result. I want a full result of how to deal with a pirate who is breaking all the rules of real estate. You see, that's what I mean. Is getting a house that's for cheap and then selling it for a profit. That sort of thing. We can't afford not to go and do it our way. And so I went through this with the bank, my bank, the ANZ. The time I set it all up, I should have taken the whole lot because it was set up in the bank, and the lawyers, we had 3 lawyers on the go, and there was no reason why we couldn't do it again.
I could see that going. The point is, John, here, right? See, this is what I'm trying to say. We need, right? These people have got a obligated duty to perform. They're contractually obligated to perform. And if they fail in their performance, and their obligations, they are liable to be sued. And then you sue them in a money claims because they've failed to perform. So anybody who doesn't do what they should do can rightfully be sued for not doing what they should do. So we'll just sue them to perform.
Yeah, so then
that's what we're trying to do now.
If we go to a small claims court and claim and win, they'll expect all the rest of the claims to be the same and follow the same pattern of claims.
But let me just make it clear so that you're understanding what I'm trying to say. In the claim, with you're claiming for the land and a fine for stealing it. So the money claim is really immaterial because you're getting the order that they owe you the land as well as the money. So it's the land, the value of the land. It's not in the figure. The land is just a piece of reality, which is the land, something factual that they have to return back to you. The money, which is the fiction, is just is just there so that you're, because I mean, it's a money claim, it's a claim court, so you're claiming something. So just to actually get the order. That's what I'm trying to get at. So it's immaterial, the property of the land.
Yeah, Andrew. What I'm saying is this: what you're looking at is you're putting an instrument there like the Trojan horse, so they don't close it, to stop them from closing it. Once that instrument is there, they can't close it. Is that what you're looking at?
Well, basically, the way I'm looking at it is, it's an affidavit, right? It's an affidavit, right? The only difference between an affidavit is, they ignore the affidavits, don't they? Because John's got the affidavits and they've ignored them all, right? And he's tried to enforce them, and they've tried to arrest him for it because they didn't get out. So because they don't recognise that affidavit. However, the court order, they can't not recognise because it's within their system. So your affidavit,
Court has a date on it, then it doesn't. That means they have to deal with John before that last. He'll be the last man standing, because they can't settle anything until they address John's affidavit. If you use that as the Trojan horse example, is that where you're coming from, Andrew?
yeah, you could. I mean, if the man was to ever challenge your money claim against him, then John presents his affidavit that's already a proven contract. So then you're now bringing that affidavit into their system that they're going to have to recognise. So it's a Trojan horse to get. Yes, it's a Trojan horse in that sense to get the affidavit in there.
On what if John puts that in, it opens up the can of worms. So what I'm saying is, we are hearing you, Andrew, is that the small claims about the amount is not it's not relevant to the fact that the Trojan horse is there and has to be addressed. If that affidavit is in there, they cannot the New Zealand government and all this and all that cannot negotiate with China or that whoever, because there's an affidavit in there that they failed to rebut. So internationally, that affidavit will stand, won't it?
An unrebutted affidavit is true in commerce.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
Done.
Yes.
Yeah. Using their
Is
system. Gregory here.
Oh, good.
No, I don't
I
think.
hope-
I don't know whether Gregory's here. I don't think he is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm
Go
listening
ahead,
intently.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's good to get a few ideas. I'll check it out though. I'll check out the small claims and see what jurisdiction everything is, and whether they'll block with some other jurisdiction or anything like that that'll get in the road. And so I'll finish one as well to see if I can see any point in doing it.
Well, let me just to add a bit more weight to the fact. The Bar Mutual, who insure all the barristers, have confirmed to me that judges are immune, right? Yeah, they're immune.
Yeah.
Judges are immune. However, we didn't take the judge. We took the man acting as the judge. And he's not a judge because he falsified a court hearing. So he could not be a judge. He was a fake judge in a fake hearing, creating a fake order. And that man could not answer to it. So he's not a judge, therefore he's not immune. And we took him and we've got him for £12,510. And we shall do that to every other fake one that's alleged to be something.
The private, you got to go after the private.
Absolutely, yeah. 100%, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just because he says he's a judge does not make him a judge. And if he is performing as a judge, then it had to be a court. So now prove that that was a court, because if it's not a court, then you wasn't a judge and you was a criminal. That's it, full stop. You are immune if you're a judge and you're being a judge and you're being honourable and you're doing your duty, but don't make up fake court hearings and to make counterfeit orders just to support your brethren. Full stop. Otherwise, you're liable. And you better prove your evidence, because you better produce the physical material evidence to substantiate your claim that that was a court, because it wasn't. Just because it was a building, they had no authority of the court. There was no court. That was not a court. And nobody else's courts are courts neither. because they're all private profit organizations that are creating fake hearings just to create a point A. That's their foundation. All the court cases are a foundation of nothing, That's why all court cases have got more than one case number, because the first case number came from nothing. And then the other case numbers are grafted on to make it look real. It's not. They're all fake. They're all fictitious.
So I didn't want to put any price on land in any court, or it looks like it goes into a court.
No, you're not putting the price on the land, John.
Is it a judge? Is it before a judge, or is it an independent person, not a judge?
It's like a mediator. It's basically, yeah, you're using the post office and an affidavit, yeah, as the mediator. Now you're using the judge as the mediator in this form of affidavit. And it's nothing about putting a price on the land. The figure is the claim of the fine that he's done for fault, for buying.
What sort of figure would you put on Cook Street? Tell me what figure would you put on Cook Street?
I wouldn't put the figure of Cook Street. I wouldn't put the figure of the land. I would put the figure for the lie of what he's done, for the crime that he's committed by lying and stealing. Yeah, because it's like, imagine if I was to take him for stealing my car, I wouldn't put the price of the car. I would put the price of the crime. I would put the price of the crime, yeah, and the return of the car.
So they'll say compensation. You get compensation. You'll get paid out. You'll get paid. That's the thing. A contract will be drawn up where you get paid out from their bank. That's the part that I get. The legal part.
It's not the court. The court doesn't pay anything. The court doesn't pay anything. The court's just a mediator. They step in to try and when you apply for the warrant, yeah, the court is just like a debt collector. That's all you're using it for. They then go
the money
whatever it is.
Somewhere.
Pardon?
I follow money. Where the money comes from, whose bank, and who gave the authority to pass the money from someone to a claimant. It's always going to be someone's going to be compensated by somebody's money in somebody's government.
We're not in the, it's not the money claims court or small claims court is not the same as the courts. I'm not talking about those courts. I'm just talking about you're using a small claims court, which is a simple mediator. That's all.
So what jurisdiction of authority does that court hold over
your jurisdiction? Because your claim is the jurisdiction. That's the subject matter. Subject matter jurisdiction is what you're laying before the claim.
I've got to check that out to see where it's going to go on what they can do.
Yeah, well, the jurisdiction of a court is determined by the one that makes the claim.
The subject matter. The subject matter jurisdiction. Yeah.
It has no jurisdiction. It's you that makes the jurisdiction job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
your subject matter is the jurisdiction that they have to answer to.
That is the jurisdiction.
So that's the small claims court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the small claims court, which is small. It's going to stay small.
Yeah, but you're not, John, you're not. So let me just reiterate. Yeah, so I'm saying not on a car.
They're going in a small claims court. How do you realize you're still going to end up on Admiral if you're going for a $5 billion claim? You're
not putting a $5 billion claim in, John.
No, after you win your small claim court and you get paid out, someone's going to pay you out.
No, then you've got the order. Then you've got an order with inside their own will that they can see that says that they stole that land off you, so the land's got to be returned, and there's the fine that he also got, the claim that the monetary claim, which was for the damage that he's caused you for stealing that land off you.
Yeah, so that's all. It's going to be
it's
going to be a theft case, not a land case. You got to get the right in the right field of going to claim something. We're going to claim something from somebody, and it's a corporate company that I'm going up against, not just somebody ordinary. We're going after the Rothschild corporate company
Yeah, what
Yeah,
the claim is, John, what the claim is, you're not claiming the land in the sense as you're claiming the land was stolen. So that's the thing you're proving by the money claims, that the land was stolen. That's the money you're going to charge him, and then the land is obviously then to be returned.
It's not going to work, in my eyes, it's not going to work on a land claim in a corporate business. We're a different thing again, that we have to try and think what they would think if you did that. I've got to search it out to see if there's any safety in it, and make sure if we do that, it's not going to jeopardize our big case against the whole world.
Well, once you've done that, I mean, because this is the point. Your claim has already been done and dealt with in the form of an affidavit, hasn't it? You've already beaten them. You've already beaten them on the affidavit, yeah.
Don't forget, the world is watching how we think and what we do. And I'm thinking like mechanic. You go for the problem, the big problem, not the small problem. The big, the rock of bang.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why aren't you using the Māori Land Court then, John?
Because it's in the wrong jurisdiction, and it's the Queen's Bench Court, and it's corrupted. The whole system is corrupted. The whole Land Court is owned by the Crown. The Maori word is patented by the Crown in Wellington, and that's where you lose.
The Maori Land Court is the Queen's Court bench jurisdiction, wrong jurisdiction.
You have to make sure that flag has its own jurisdiction, because it's an instrument that nobody knows how much power it's got against a vice admiral government in Wellington. That flag is an admiral, the highest end of law of what you got you on the land in the first place with a certificate, paper title. That's all I go for.
Because the Maori Land Court had no jurisdiction over the native title. So it's the wrong jurisdiction for where we're coming from.
The Maori Land Court can only deal with Maori land with Maori on it, and not the British title, which is what we're doing here with that flag. British title over a radical title of Maori Land Court.
Of Queen Victoria. They're all radical titles.
The title has to come from somewhere. It came out of that flag, because the 1840 treaty is all that you're talking about in government in Wellington. How they got their authority was from the 1835 flag to make an 1840 treaty. It's just a treaty.
The counterfeit fraud.
It's just a treaty, and all their land titles come under that treaty at 1840, not before that. The flag before that, if you can prove it. That's the truth. If you can prove it.
John, this is again. I've just had another just come to my head now, because this is the point. Yeah, you can't, because they've removed all and destroyed all the evidence in 1834. You know, 8 October 1834 in the fire of London. Yeah, because they destroyed all the evidence. It's not a case of that we have to prove it, it's they have to prove that it isn't. Therefore, if the claim is there and you've got the evidence of whatever everything is up to that point, because you've got what you've got, they have to now prove it. So you could, just on a simple basis, your proof of getting the legal in that flag was to prove that it's there in a money claims. So you could do it for 1 pence. You could just do it for 1 pence. And they're not going to be
just be simple. Yeah, just for fee simple.
Yeah, but I agree with that point, Anthony, because the thing is that all the records, well, therefore they have no records to prove anything.
Yeah, because then you've got the order. So this is what, remember what I was saying about, so let me just go back to what I was saying about, so like on Sean's case. On Sean's case, they continued with loads of other case numbers, creating other false and fictitious court cases out of an original court case that didn't exist. So everything else now, you've got the record in a sealed order to prove that everything that they've based all their other things off was fraud. So you can now sue them for doing what they're doing, which is what we are doing. So in the same sense, you've got the original now. You've got the evidence that it can't be you can't be disproved. Yeah. And if they do want to challenge, then obviously then you're going to bring all your affidavits in to prove, because they've all already failed. And unrebutted affidavits are true in commerce. So they're going to ignore you, John. Just like the judge ignored us, John. They can't challenge us.
We have to use what our people and holding the flag have to do now, because they only got till next year, mid next year, and it's all gone. The Jacinda Ardern, they've already set up all their contracts all over the world. Jacinda, she's been flying all over the place to set them up to take this place out. That's what we've only got one chance. That's why I want to force the pound note and make it live instrument and use that. Because you can go on and on about land titles. The Maori Land Court is going into the district court. I already knew that long ago. All the land titles in the Maori Land Court will get transferred into the district court under the Crown in Wellington's control.
And as you say, and as you keep saying, John, where are they getting their authority from? So
yeah,
where are they getting their authority from, John? So now let's get them to prove it for 1 pence.
we don't have to buy.
No, we're trying to prove that it does exist. They just ignore. So
yeah.
we're now going to make them. We're now going to force them to for 1 pence or whatever figure you want to give. And you know they're not going to be able to. Then you're going to get an order proving that fact.
Yeah. So we've got to try. That's what we're talking about. We've got to try.
It's just a suggestion anyway.
Yeah. So all the ideas are good because we got to do something about it. That's what this meeting is for. What the hell do we do now? Now that we got a few names and photographs of people that are committing fraud and crimes right in front of our eyes, and they get away with it. So there, we will get somewhere from people's ideas, but because it's something that no one's ever thought of before, to try and go head on with the big shots at the top.
So John, just as another little thought that's just come to me, you've got $1 trillion. Have you you did an affidavit, yeah, and a lien against who? John Key, let's say. And how much have you got on him? How much is £1
trillion on the head?
£1 trillion. So right then, so you could take John Key into a small claim court for whatever it is for failing to pay the £1 trillion that he owes you, yeah, and therefore he owes you £1 trillion plus whatever it is for failing to pay you, whatever you're making, whatever that claim is you're making it. Then you're going to get a sealed order because you know he can't answer it, and if he does, then your liens are going in there, and they can't rebut them because they're true in commerce because they're an affidavit that he's failed to rebut. Just another thought.
I can try that. But I've got to look over research on it.
Yeah, no, we need to try. We need to try.
He's got 14 days to rebut you. He's got 14 working days to rebut your claim. Otherwise, you'll get a default judgment and a sealed order from the court. Then you can do a statutory declaration. If you don't do it and pay that in for that time, you can take straight in and bankrupt him and take everything off him with their own words.
Follow due process. If we follow due process and force them into a default judgment, that's the way to go because we'll follow due process.
Mm-hmm.
And if what they've done and all their fraudulent activities, if they've never followed due process, theirs will fall over. Their house of cards will fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not complaining anymore, mate. We're making claims, and the claims have already been made. They've been substantiated already. We're just enforcing them. So we're going to charge a little fee to enforce it and bankrupt with a court order in their own system. KISS, as I always say, keep it simple, stupid. KISS. It's there. The system's there. Let's use it. Let's use it against it. It should be for everyone. No one's above the law, and the law's there for you. Yeah. so long as you're within it.
Anybody else?
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
John,
Mhm.
who holds the title to that land? Where's the certificate of title?
The certificate of title is the proprietors or the landowners, the legal landowners that are on there now, just like a normal transfer. But in the Maori Land Court rules, it states clearly that Maori have a unregistered interest in land if they can prove where it came from. If they have a direct interest, so I have a Manukau land interest in the whakapapa of the British and their Scottish company, the Manukau Land Company in Glasgow, that sold Manukau land at the Manukau Head to British immigrants. So I'm going on that title, and the Native Land Court in Helensville, where they put together the first Native Land Court title and squared off a 10 block as cutting a 10-acre block up inside where the court is, the Native Court bank was, and then that's where the titles for the country came from, cut down into smaller 2,500 meters area, and 1,000-meter area came from there, that title. So I'm going under the land titles of original British title, and then cut down Maori land title from that 10-acre block. And the flag flying there, used to fly there as the Confederation of Chiefs. Maori Manukau started as a president. At that time, they were putting it together and going up to Waitangi, and the whakameninga was up at Waitangi, the parliament, to bring those two together, the commercial side of the Freemasons titles. They're the ones that put the certificates together and did all the service of all the land titles here. And so I'm going on that origin, and that Manukau, therefore Manukau, that put the title, one with only his name on, from Waiuku on the west coast, over the Bombays and Pukekohe to Clevedon as one title with his name on it, sold to Clendon. And that's the title I'm going under as a Manukau. And then the Manukau title that sold the whole country to King George IV in 1823, I'm going under that Manukau title as being one complete title over all the other titles that came out of it.
Right. Because what I've seen is the New Zealand real estate market under the New Zealand company started in Lower Hutt.
Yes.
The first land to be cut out. And so as a market, the real estate market is hedged on that one piece of land and its price shift since it was incepted. So what?
The date, okay?
The date?
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I gather is that the real estate market is based on the shift in price of that Lower Hutt land, that section. All other real estate values are based on the value shifting of that one block of land. That's where the price or the value of land comes from, is from the first piece of land that was ever cut out. And from what I've heard, it was in Lower Hutt that the New Zealand company did. That's that side on pricing. That's into the real estate market. The second thing is that the land that you're talking about, the Manukau that's cut out and all other land, is under the auspice of the Royal Guild of Surveyors. So the authenticity of the market is based on their credibility. The land is not unitized or available for sale in the market, in the global land market, unless it was officially unitized by the Royal Guild of Surveyors. So what we were looking at Opape was trespassing the Royal Guild of Surveyors from our whenua to lift the Westminster system.
Yeah, so that's what, is it as an Australian authority or is it a British authority of land tenure? Is it being put together by a British company or a New Zealand Australian company under Queen Victoria? and Queen Elizabeth or King or Scotland.
Or Scotland.
I don't know that I'm just adding to your kōrero because you're the specialist, but this is what I've seen, and this is what with sort of where we've gone at Naitama, is that the real estate market is only based on the credibility of the Royal Guild of Surveyors and their ability to unitize land for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be, you could be right there, because I haven't gone into that part of it.
It's just because our whakapapa Gundry was a surveyor. See, Gundry was a surveyor. My father was a surveyor. So I've looked at it from that perspective of how the land actually gets into the market. And because of Raupatu and the Bay of Plenty only went as far as Ormaio, the rest of our land to Hicks Bay that you went to this week has actually never been entered into the market. It's false. So we looked at everything that was inside the jurisdiction then and how that went about happening. And that's what we found, is that the Royal Guild of Surveyors have to survey the block to unitize the land, to quantify it, ready for sale, and then it moves into the real estate market once it's been unitized by the Royal Guild of Surveyors.
So how did Rogan, was the surveyor in Kaipara, in Helen, and how did he manage to survey the land and put it in their bank, and then value the land in their bank that became the BNZ, and Muldoon took over that as the Aotearoa Bank, the BNZ Bank. So they were selling land there.
If they had a mortgage over it, they would only be able to have as a bank if there was a mortgage or a lien, which is what John's been referring to as the lien over the land. If the bank was holding a title, the title's not created by the bank, but it was held by the bank as a mortgage.
Yeah, so
that's the lien, that's the loan, that's the value is the mortgage, but that's not the title. They hold the title until the mortgage is paid by the owner, by the claimant.
Yeah, so what happened was, before the British came here, and they sold land with all the titles and everything on it from Britain in Glasgow. So all our land records are in Glasgow and Edinburgh. That was going to pick them up and to come back and override any other title from the Freemasons themselves that put the titles together in Helensville. So those things, I'm going on the land titles of One Tree Hill and the survey marks of the Freemasons at that time, that they would have had mortgages and all of that over the land. They created Auckland City from Helensville, from that bank there. So they were giving out loans for lands in Auckland for their immigrants at that time, at that period. Oh, where's he gone? Andy?
I was just eating at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
so
I
you're
I think it's just dropped out. I think it's just dropped out. Like,
oh, who's that guy, Andy? Who
was his name?
I don't remember his name. He's just dropped out. It froze.
That was Peter Selwyn. That was Peter Selwyn. Peter Selwyn. That was
Peter
Sowen, the gentleman who was just speaking.
Oh, Peter, yeah, I met Peter. I met Peter down in Te Kaha.
What was his name?
Peter.
He might be back in a minute. It dropped out. The whole thing froze for a minute.
He knows. I've already met him, so he knows finance and those security instruments and things. And Gundry, that word Gundry, I know already from original research of what he's talking about. He'll be right, because we already talked about it. I didn't realize it was him.
Okay, good.
And because it's good to have him around us.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're looking for. I'm glad that he came
Yeah,
on,
I'm glad too.
because he wasn't going to come on. He had something on. but it's good that he made the time to come on to explain it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need. We need some more people that know what they're doing, and it makes it a bit easier for us to get where we're going. And even what you're saying, Andy, I have to check it out. And if I'm happy about it, then we may do that. We may do that here, at least here where the crime of the scene is in Auckland.
Mhm.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, okay, sir.
Yeah, I actually know how Waitangi was started. If you look up Wainui Junction, you'll find that in Nahipara. You take the Y out of it. Our actual first post office comes from there. You'll see all these names, Manukau, Whangarei, all come from Nahipara. They stole our names, created a corporation, and then they've moved all our names down all around the country. This is exactly how they've done it.
Yeah, the British did that. They mucked around with our whakapapa and with our people, like Manukau. They picked it out. They did that. If it was for good reasons or bad reasons, they just used it for their title. British, I'm talking about. Just for the document's sake. I only go on the Manukau for the document's sake, not the land and anybody on it. Just a certificate, a piece of paper, the real estate. That's all I deal with. And how it's very difficult to try and remove people off land once they're on it, because they've got protection of their business and everything, except for food.
Well, that's where our first native quarters. My grandfather built that, and now a fellow called Cyril Boise's bought it up there. He cut down the Pūtakawa. We've got Reuben Taipari up there occupying it. That was where our first native court come from. And Wainui Junction, actually, it's the only junction you'll find in the phone book. I think it's 4081 or something. Oh yeah.
If we were to have a King's Court bench hearing matter, anything that people have claims to, they must provide the instruments as evidence into the record, or we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, well, I've actually got all the court books they destroyed in '97. We bought it goes right back to 1800. Shows in 1960, no alien could own any land, and then they changed it to the Native Crimes, and now it's just the Crimes Act. And then they destroyed all these books in '97. But we were brainy enough to go pinch them, so we got all these copies. Back in '97.
We need to find ways how to look at these instruments, because we need the instruments to actually be able to.
Yeah, I need to get them down to you guys so you can never read. Somehow I suppose lucky.
Do you know Huri Tikuri? The in Rameka? I did all that around the area around Tahiki and Kaikohi and all that. On when they set up the native court in Rawene. It's still there, the court there, but they had other courts around the area. Where was your one? Wainui?
No, it's called Wainui Junction, but that's actually in Ahipara. Up in 90 Mile Beach. Yeah. That's my great grandfather was Wata Tepania. Got our foreshore back, and then my cousin Nanae goes and sells it again. Okay, good. They're all my family, bro.
Good one.
Yeah, but I spent a bit of time with Bundy up there on Ahipara, the Williams there on their land there, and up in Kaitaha, right up the top there, Spurs Bay. We had a native land court up there.
Have you been up the top of Whangatoatia? They've still got the king seats up there. We've got a place that used to be the first court actually up there. Yeah, there's some pretty amazing stuff you got to see around up there. Goes right back.
Yeah. So all we're doing then, we just bring them into one court and put all our information together to tackle Jacinta Dern and her thugs. yeah, the only way to do it is to bring everything together and just accept what everybody does in this confederation and the whakamininga, then go with it, because we've got it all with that flag. It's still, the flag is the missing link that brings everything together on both sides, the whakapapa and everything.
Yeah.
It'll all fall in place when we all talk to each other instead of past each other.
Yeah.
That's what this little talk was going to be about, is what do we do with both of things with the flag.
Are you going to welcome me? I'll see you there. I'll bring all these books here. So yeah, I'll give them to you fellows to have a read through.
It's just that time to do something now.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
We only got this time to do it, and because they're moving very fast down in Wellington, they're really moving fast. They don't care anymore. They never cared anyway, but they're just the point now of just going ahead without anybody.
Is there any other questions? Someone just entering now. Who?
It's all quiet.
Yeah, it's very quiet. Does anybody else want to add to anything? So who's just come in? I don't know if you have anything to add. His battery probably went on the other gentleman that was speaking.
Oh, Philip wants to say something. Who's Philip?
Philip wants to say something.
I saw it. I saw it come up on the screen.
Philip, did you want to say something, Philip? If you unmute yourself. Yeah, Philip, if you're speaking, you're still muted. I'll ask you to unmute. You're still muted at the moment, Philip. Okay, no, you're okay. You're good to go, Philip.
I come from Taranaki as far back as the 1850s. Before that, well, we're from Ngāpuhi, but we in 1854 we had a hui at Manawapau for every chief in Taranaki to declare Section 71 of the New Zealand Constitution Act 1852 to put a rahui on all the sale of land in Taranaki. Well, that held for 6 years until the rights of the purchase came up. Crown knew that Māori land was communally owned and there was a rahui in place, but they ignored it and they accepted the sale. So after 3 years of bloodletting under the declaration of martial law, royally proclaimed by Queen Victoria of the House of Windsor, in 1863, they knew that history would treat them harshly for what they'd done in Taranaki over the Settlements Act. So by royal proclamation of Queen Victoria again, they relinquished the rights of the purchase on the rationale that, yes, but te rangitake. We now know that the right to the purchase is invalid, but because you our soldiers were trying to kill you, steal your land, rape your woman, we now call you in rebellion to Queen Victoria and confiscate all the land from Paruninehi, Waitotara, coast inland 50 miles, south to Waitotara, coast inland 50 miles. That's the entire Taranaki, coastal 50-mile coastal strip including the mountain.
Yes,
Now, to me, the only one that can be held responsible are the descendants of those that declared by royal proclamation those acts. Not the New Zealand Incorporated Society Crown, because I'm the hapu rep that of Tangahoe Iwi that rejected the fiscal envelope. So our argument is with the descendants of Queen Victoria. And I'm aware because my great-great-great-grandfather was part of the declaration, Waikiri Peru from Ngāwha. And we never signed the treaty, but we are the independent hapu that's included in the preamble and in the wording of both those documents. So it's almost like we can have a bob each way. But what you guys are talking about, I can't quite get my head around it. I know it's right, but if you remove Queen Elizabeth in the House of Windsor, who do we send the bill to?
can I respond to that? Is he gone?
No, they're still there.
I'll respond.
King of the House of Hanover that gave us our independence in 1835, William IV.
Yes,
And that's as far as I go. I don't go back any further than that because you get all confused. It's bad enough coming from that. But, you know, people that try and trip me up come in with the Moriori stuff and before the Pākehā came, you were killing each other, eating each other. But they forget that when Portatau laid his taiaha down at Uringa Tuapeka and said he would never come back, that was the end of the musket wars, and that was the beginning of kotahitanga to hold land.
can I answer that to what you're talking about? Because you're talking about the Wee Parata versus Wiramukingi with the Waitara Block scandal. Now, the determination of that, if you look at Chief Justice Fenton, he held that the co-owners' rights were deprived. Now, when you're talking about the jurisdiction of Queen Victoria, the Confederation of Chiefs of the King's Court Bench never entered into a treaty with Queen Victoria. So where John and I are coming from, everything of Queen Victoria and everything they've done, we're saying it's all null and void ab initio. So what I'm saying is that anything past 1840 is held. That's why that's why in the Court of Appeal case of the Attorney General versus Ngāti Apa, they held at paragraph 140, they held that all New South Wales radical titles, that's of Queen Victoria, and all New South Wales foreign jurisdiction, that's all under Queen Victoria, are all pretend titles, pretend conveyances, pretend lease agreements. And what I'm saying is that everything of what those what her people had done to us, we would take that out, take it all out. If you stick to the King's Court Bench, that predates it all. See, because those private contracts with the first one was in 1823 with King George IV, and all the rest with King William IV. They were all done before 1835. The 1835 Wakputanga, the 28th of October, was actually the final due process. So anything after 1835, under the King's Court Bench flag that both King George IV and both King William IV of Hanover gave to us, this is the flag, this is the jurisdiction we're going under. The Queen Victoria flag on the 6th of February 1840, and I've got evidence to that, was not our flag. It was actually the New South Wales, if you look at the New South Wales Gazette, 17th of August 1835, that was a New South Wales government that actually created an amended flag, and that amended flag was the flag that was all under the city of London bankers. That was the flag that they put up on the flag mast at Kororarek and Russell on between the 4th of February to the 6th of February. So that flag is counterfeit jurisdiction. That means that everything under Queen Victoria since 1840, those House of Cards fall over. And if you look at the Vatican, you look at the City of London, look at Washington, D.C., you look at the United Nations, they're all coming under the Queen's Court bench after 1835. And where John and I are coming from the Confederation of Chiefs, we're taking down the whole House of Cards after 1835. So therefore the what took place with between Wiremu Kingi, you know, and how he was ripped off, we're going to fix that up, bro. We're going to fix that up because everything was done in fraud by Queen Victoria, you know, and that's what we're going after. Queen Victoria, King Edward the Fourth, King George the Fifth, King George the Sixth, right down to Queen Elizabeth. That's all fraud. That's where the fraud started from. Queen Victoria, she was illegitimate. What I'm saying is, under Salic law, okay, that Queen Victoria was not next in line after King William IV had died. His brother, King Ernest Augustus I, was still alive. Her own uncle was still alive, and Queen Victoria had male siblings that had more right to the throne. So she was put in that place she was only a young girl put there by the Rothschilds. They put her there so they can manipulate the young girl, you know. And this is where the legitimacy rock falls over. That's what we're going to target, you know. Yeah, kia ora, brother. Kia ora.
Yeah, one more point. You know how the 1863 Act proclaimed us in rebellion to the illegitimate queen here. Well,
sorry.
The Sim Royal Commission of Inquiry 1927-28 finding were Taranaki Māoris were not rebels and they should not have been killed and land confiscated.
Yeah.
It's all going to come back under the kaupapa that you're doing, Kei Te Pai.
Yeah, because that was all unlawful. Everything they did, that Sims report and everything after 1840 was unlawful because there was no treaty with the Confederation of Chiefs. Because our flag was not on the flag stuff. They had a treaty with a different group of people. William Hobson just called a meeting with 43 people and it says, oh, sign this treaty at Waitangi. No, but they were not members of the Confederation of Chiefs of the King's Court bench. They were a different entity. It's just like Jacinda doing, trying to sign an agreement with the iwi Māori authorities, the trust boards and all that, and claiming that they represent the Confederation of Chiefs. No, they don't. Nor did those chiefs, those 43 on the forum of Waitangi on 6 February 1840, none of them represented the Confederation of Chiefs. This is where we are coming from. So we don't care anything about the 1852 New Zealand Constitution and all that. That's the Queen's Court bench. That's their narrative. That's their fake narrative. Yeah.
Well, it took an act of parliament by Geoffrey Palmer to replace that 1852 Constitution Act in 1986.
Yeah, so now they got no warrant.
Yeah. But that in their eyes, that 1852 Constitution was like a cool bracelet around their feet. They had
which wasn't a constitution. It was actually they were constituted from Westminster. Therefore, they weren't independent. They basically were still subordinate to Westminster. So it's a different kettle of fish. They can't claim that they are a constitutional government, because what I'm saying is that they were still tied under Westminster.
And you notice that the Crown got all the major Lopatu claims settled before it signed under it in regard to colonisation and slavery.
Yep.
Because under those terms, they weren't allowed to settle under the fiscal envelope.
Yep.
And all those iwis, they're just Crown constructs. The United Nations hapu as a legitimate tribal entity its member states are to negotiate treaties with, not iwi.
Yeah, well, those deeds of settlement, like what I'm saying, they don't apply to us. They don't apply to us whatsoever. I'll never. What I'm saying is, I put a Waitangi claim in, okay, but my claim was totally different. Mine was unregistered. I'm an unregistered claimant in the Waitangi Tribunal. What I did is they couldn't register my claim because of the constitutional nature of my claim, which is good. But because I have a MIR reference number 6545, that means as soon as they shut down all those Y claims, what I'm saying is that the last man standing, they have to deal with our Confederation of Chiefs unregistered claim. I put it there on behalf of the Confederation of Chiefs, the claim, and they, because I questioned them, my claim was, who are you? We got no treaty with you. We got no treaty with the New Zealand Crown, and we got no treaty with Queen Victoria. That was our claim. You know, because our private contract were already secured from 1823, 1831, twice the first 13 chiefs in 1831, their letter, and then the 22nd of October 1832, when the 13 chiefs met with King William IV at Portsmouth in South England, and then from that point, the 25 chiefs on the 20th of March 1834, when for the first time HMS Alligator, that's the British Admiralty of the fleet, they took their mast off the HMS Alligator and anchored into our soil. That means the Confederation of Chiefs became the second party of the British Admiralty. We're the only other country outside of Britain that hold the second party British Admiralty of the fleet. And because of that event, and that put the status of our flag under as the highest jurisdiction on the planet, with the British Admiralty of the fleet in Britain and the British Admiralty of the fleet in the Islands. So what I'm saying is this, that by sticking to that and not worried about this Queen's Court bench stuff, because as soon as we start mixing with all the falsehoods, it diminishes what we're trying to do. Yeah. So kia ora. I'm just going to go for a stretch. Yeah. I'm just going to go fucking for a stretch, brother. I'll be back.
Kia ora.
Yeah, I know Waikereputu. I worked with him quite a bit. He used to come up to the university in Auckland and meet me in Auckland, and we'd run a few things or two. And so that's where I got my support in what was happening down in your area.
Yeah, that's my father.
Oh, that's your father. Oh, I thought the resemblance was the same.
Huirangi.
Yeah, Huirangi. Yeah, Professor Huirangi. Yeah, he was involved with the university quite a bit when there's things on. Yeah, but I've been down at some hui down there with him too. Back then. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, so So we're trying to do something with what we've got and put everybody's things together one more last time to
Need an
try and
army.
make. Hey?
We're gonna need an army.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to enforce the pound note and make it do the job for us to in lieu of the British Navy answering us, because a video states that the Navy is obligated to us and the flag. So that's, we're using that as they're still joined to us and the flag as evidence that there is a contract between us. So that's what I'm going on. And if Ngāpui and all the hapus around, because this is to do with the hapu native, and come together and just accept what we're saying here and go with it to see how far we can go against Jacinda with a combined yes behind legal documents that we put together and our own way of law in our own online court without a bar and a dock. We don't need it with a flag, because that's the authority that we've been silenced. The King's Bench has been silent king in the court, but they still need the king to give them authority in the Queen's Bench to do their dirty business and get away with it. So there, we're going to accept each other's stories. All the whakapapa in the land is still there. There's no problem there. You've got plenty of tenants, but you just need the control over the land with the flag and just accept the stories about the flag, the legal stories, and then go for it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, kia ora, Philip. His daughter is actually has been following what we're doing. So, you working with her too?
No, actually, my name is Martin Edwards, but I've used a few different names on Facebook, like Martin Goani Edwards, but the Edwards comes from Ereweather Waikiri, Peru, from the Battle of Ohio.
Oh, okay, so your real name's Martin Edwards. I would talk to make sure you two link up together, because we're working together.
Awesome. I think it's taken enough of your time now, but it's good to put a face to the to your voice, Alfred and John.
Yeah, this is a kanoe to kanoe. This is how we do it online, quicker than going to a hui and traveling. It's better to do it like this, go to the point.
Because we want to help your kaupapa, bro. Because look, I've always known about that kaupapa since 1972 when I was living in Taranaki. So I know what you're talking about. When I was living in Upanaki at the time from 1972 onwards. So I fully know that kaupapa. That's when I started doing my research in 1972, 50 years ago, all about this stuff. So I comprehend fully the injustices. I comprehend fully. Kia ora, brother.
Kia ora.
Good. Thank you.
Kia ora, that was awesome. Thank you.
Do something. We do it.
About that. 50 years ago, I was on for that.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, when I was living in Taranaki.
Right.
And they used to call me radical. So it's all my articles were in the Taranaki time.
Right.
I put all my stuff up way back then.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All about this history he's talking about now.
Yeah. So that's good. He's here talking in front of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is got the arm of Taranaki there now.
No, we can't care about stuff about Queen Victoria that we went against. So no, she had no authority whatsoever.
That's what they're doing in Wellington. There's somebody else wants to talk.
Yep, kia ora.
Anyone else want to say something? See any hands up?
Yeah, but it's mainly the hapu that are missing out, and because the iwi is running the business for their own private corporation business and nothing much for the hapu. This is what we're up against
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
The hapu's got the power really, they're borrowing or usurping. The hapu's whakapapa their power. And so we go together and take them head on with what we're doing in this court for all their courts.
Yeah.
In the British way, because it's British. That's where it all started from. So we just use the British law and go from there one more time. Mm. Yeah.
Good to listen to others.
Yeah, that's why I wanna
Other
that's
tribes,
why I wanna hear
other
somebody else,
hapus. Yep.
as well.
Is there anybody
We've
else
got-
want to say anything?
Eh?
I was just asking, does anybody else have anything to add to the floor? Bring to the table?
It's funny that those people with their photos and all the things we're saying about them are doing nothing about it. Just tells you something. That the government in Wellington is getting away with it. If we don't do anything about it.
Silence is acquiescence.
Yeah, that's right. That's why if you put an instrument in and they remain silent, at least we can take the next step. We can take the next step. But if we don't put an instrument in there, and they'll get away with it. See, it's like what I'm saying, Andrew, it's like the fact that where I'm coming from is that with all the Waitangi treaty claims of the Y claims, this is what Jacinda Ardern is leveraging off to sell the country to China. But the fact that I already have an instrument in the Waitangi Tribunal, because I'm the only one that has got an unregistered claimant number, 6545, MIR 6545. All the rest that have Y claim numbers, registered numbers, have actually lost their claims at the point they registered. In other words,
I understand.
When they went to all these hearings, all they were doing is ticking the boxes, because knowing that the people had already signed off on registration. That what they were doing is using a process to legitimize the New Zealand Crown have a right to the land, because all the claimants in the settlement process have already relinquished their land by registration. That's why where mine is an unregistered claim, I can bring anybody's claims onto that waka. Anyone that's got a claim that doesn't want to go, if you go down the hinaki process, you're going to lose all your whenua. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying, I've already got an instrument in there that can help all jump on board and say, we don't want to settle, we don't want a Y claim number, we'll go under this unregistered claimant number. That's it, that's sufficient.
So your name's down without the number next to it.
That's right. I put our claim on behalf of the Confederation of Chiefs, and they couldn't register my claim. They couldn't give me a Y number, and they tried to get me to recontract to get a Y number, but I wasn't after a Y number. I was after acknowledgement that I had put my claim in, and what they did with it, they came back, and it was actually Stephanie Mulroy that wrote back and said, oh, because of the constitutional nature of my claim, because the New Zealand Crown have got no constitution, they're unconstitutional. But they said, because of the constitutional nature of my claim under the He Whakaputanga 1835, they could not register my claim. So what they did is they recorded it as the MIR reference number 6545 unregistered claimant. So that waka, that vessel instrument, they can bring on board anyone, any hapu that wants to jump on that waka, because going down to the Waikaim process, Waitangi Tribunal, is suicidal. You will lose everything on registration. Yeah.
Yep. Judge Joe Williams is a prime example.
Yeah. Well, he's with the system.
He was our last hope when we tried to stop Ngāti Ruanui. Ngāti Ruanui belongs in the north. Ngāti Ruanui and Taranaki come out of the Settlements Act, which called it the Ngāti Ruanui Coastal Block. But I've got it on paper. The land that was portioned to Ruanui belongs to Tangahoi, Whakakohe, Ruahine, and Ngārouru. No Ruahine, no Ruanui. Fucked off back to Russia.
Sorry about that. I've muted.
I'm finished. Well,
Kia ora, Martin.
I got some videos of Huirangi with me in Auckland. So I got to dig them out somewhere, and some photos. But they're somewhere I just gotta pick them out.
Oh yeah, the gentleman that I said he was back to was running out here. So the gentleman that was speaking earlier, he is back now. But they cut out. I don't know if you have something to say. I've just got his Nokia 5. I forget your name. Is it Peter? You'd have to unmute yourself if you wanted to say something. Okay, you're unmuted now. Hopefully your battery doesn't run out this time. Did you want to say anything? Your microphone's not working if you're speaking at the moment. I can't hear you. It's unmuted, but I still can't hear you. I don't know if is your hand on the microphone. I don't know if your hand might be on the microphone. No. It says you're unmuted, so you should be able to speak if your microphone's working. Yeah, just heard something then.
What's that?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was just what I added to John's conversation before about that land tenure and stuff. That was all I had to say at that time.
Okay, thank you very much. Man.
Thank you,
Do
Peter.
you have anything else to add? Is there anything else you'd like to
Well, I've missed the rest of what you said since then. So I'll just keep jumping. How much longer are you guys going for?
I don't know. Is there any more questions? Well, I shouldn't imagine it will be for much longer.
Yeah, Peter, that was good. That was good to meet you, and well, thank you for your input.
Yeah,
we need you with us.
Peter. I just want to know: is there any way we can share email addresses?
Yeah, Kapai.
Okay. What's the safest way? You give it to me now, or I don't.
You can write into the comment. Write into the comment. No one can see the comments.
Yeah, I can just put it through as a message, can I? Yeah.
Yeah, if you write it in the comments, you can direct it straight to John's.
It'd be useful if John and I had some contacts with.
If you click on John and just like on chat on John himself, like you'll do the comment direct to him rather than to everybody.
Okay.
Especially what you're doing, Peter.
Yeah,
because that just verifies
yeah.
any valuations or anything in that that we're going up against now with the Crown. Anything we claim with price figures on and all that thing. Security bonds, those sort of things, land and valuations, all those sorts of things we talked about when I was there.
Yeah.
Bye. So to that, we're glad to have you on board.
Yeah, good one, Peter. Yeah. Good.
Just to keep things in perspective,
Good.
and some some authentic material to go with it.
Yeah, like Gregory said, I'll just try and catch up. I'll look through this information you've sent today, John, and then I can just be I'll just participate where I can.
Yeah, well, it won't take long for you to pick up, Peter, because you know you're skilled in that area.
Yeah, and I think this is going to help me, because this is where so far I haven't found anyone with any knowledge or experience what you guys discuss and talk about. So it's good for me, because this is where I think it needs to head for me on my journey. So the timing couldn't be better, really.
Yeah, good. Yep.
You're actually doing the work of Hapu anyway.
Aye.
Where you are down there on the East Coast.
Aye.
The East Coast, our input from the East Coast team with the North and the West and the South
Aye.
with the same view.
Well, even just the context, Te Hutu at Te Kaha and Naitama at Ōpapi and Pōtiki are both the paramounts of those areas, and my whakapapa comes off Eru Takoto and Matarino Waitangi Rangiwhiwhi on both those. So the whakapapa's there and that's why I always speak as the sovereign, like I said in those judicial conferences with Wainwright and that. I've already established myself in that circle, so.
Good one.
I think Whakatohe is almost on the precipice of signing the fiscal envelope.
Yep.
The iwi are, but not the hapu.
I know, Gather, thank you for that.
Martin,
Yeah.
it'd be good if you can drop your email off as well, and I'll
Yeah.
have I'll get into communication with you, because let's do something. You need to do something before they shut it down. Okay.
I've been fighting for my hapu since Delamere tried to sell out Whakatohe back in the 90s.
Yeah.
John Delamere.
Yeah, we've kept them out because we've gone back to hapumana, and that's blocking them at the moment.
Yeah.
So what we see on Facebook, what that razzmatazz about signing, it's all tickle, is it?
Aye, yeah. And
Yeah,
there's a big division as well between Upokorehe and Whakatohea.
I feel responsible because it was my tupuna that came over there and brought Whakamata there. And you ended up getting called rebels.
But
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Therefore, do something. Yeah.
We're going
No,
together. We're doing it.
Aye.
In unity. Excellent.
We only have 6 to 8 months. We've got 6 to 8 months to do to clean it up.
I think that's. Is there any other input? Does anybody else have anything else to input? Bring to the table.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, enjoying the robust debate, because this is what it takes to get a consensus of where this waka goes to. It's going to be incumbent on all areas of the compass to unite under one type of kaupapa. So it's more robust the conversation, the quicker we'll get to the resolve.
Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing from Ngāpuhi is pretty simple. They're meeting this weekend, and I'm pretty sure in the next sort of 7 days we should hear a consensus what comes out of that hui for Ngāpuhi as far as hapu go. So just kia kaha from the far north Bay of Islands. Keep it strong and keep it real.
Have you got a brief report of what transpired in that hui? Was there a good positive outcome or what?
I'm not yet to hear. Tangaroa will probably let me know after the weekend, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, their problem is they're so ambivalent. You know what I'm saying? They just seem to be waka hoppers here, there, and everywhere.
Well, I guess the Pānui is suggesting to stabilise the waka, and that'll be entirely upon them, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. The problems we've had is they haven't. They've actually they've caused the waka to be chaos, and you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, but I can't embellish anything more than we already know, Alfred.
Right.
So we look forward to a positive result, I hope.
Yeah.
I got a good feedback from Bruce Joyce, and he's part of that. He was support of the native court too as well, but he's just interested in how we're doing and watching as well. So that'll be the third one from there, and just wanted to hear back from Poroho and Bundy and I think Pohepa Epiha is there as well. The old ones that me and Alfred know for a long time, what decisions they come out. And I hope they go along with the Confederation as being the part of the whakamininga, come together and one more time and make a concrete yes agreement that we go ahead against Jacinda Ardern and stop her in her tracks from selling our country out and turning us into something else.
Yeah, because my concern, Gregory, is the fact that so many times I've seen them, especially since 2019, most of those that are basically heading the Ngāpuhi kaupapa, too many of them have actually been wanting to re-contract with the New Zealand government, and that was an issue I had with them, and like I've said to them, if they stay with the Queen's Court bench, the King's Court bench will not entertain them. We will not jump on the waka with them. That's what I've said to Danny Watts, Poroho and all them, and Bundy Waitai. I told them about 2 years ago, in 2019, in fact, and I told them, I said, there's no way that the Confederation of Chiefs are going to actually whakakotai with that. Well, you know, the King's Court bench will not mix with the Queen's Court period. I told them that.
The two separate contracts.
Yeah.
They go with the contract with the Queen's Bench. That's heading off to the United Nations.
Yeah.
And the New World Order. And the other way is to stay in the safety of that British flag that's flying, and go with that instead of selling it into the United Nations and be just another country. And that's the part that I'm looking at now with Boris Johnson jumping ship into the new global Britain, a new Britain, another Britain, away from the Brexit and the EU Parliament. So he's starting something up new, and I'm thinking that will open the way up for us for a direct line into a new Britain, because the old British UK system is still tied up with the EU inside of Westminster, running ramshod on and pulling the Westminster to bits. So that's something to think about. I'm watching what he does from now on in this first few months, few weeks at least, to see where he's going to go with Trump. And Trump will come out with Boris, because they're talking to each other, and Theresa May, about the new corporate system, and take the crown with them, the empty throne, and take the crown, because Boris is still got an interest in Westminster as the Prime Minister of Britain, UK still. So he's still the Prime Minister of Britain, UK, wants to be a new Prime Minister of the Britain, the new Britain without the UK bit. And because Scotland is wanting to go independent, Nicola Sturgeon, the first Prime Minister, wants Scotland to go independent with the EU. She won't let go of the EU. And Trump is saying, no, we're going to stay British, otherwise we lose our rights to the EU, and that'll be the end of it. So that's a big turnaround point for us and our flag to keep our partnership. It's a partnership because it flies opposite the British flag on Waitangi, and that's our contract. That's our contract that we're sticking to as interest beneficiaries. We're still infants in our own land, and as infants in that trust, whatever trust that is, where the Crown is concerned, the Crown, where the money's collected, and whoever's looking after the Crown and our financial interests as beneficiaries is not there. The Queen is not on the throne to abdicate or even act as a head trustee of the trust. And so that's my concern, is what are we going to do about her? And now they're making arrangements for her funeral, and they're heading up to this new world order thing, and with Boris on the other end, making something different again to keep the Britain going. So I'm all for keeping the Britain going, because it keeps our legacy of king to king to king to king, Admiralty going, our land certificate titles that makes all the value on land possible, because otherwise nothing would have happened, and we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the Admiralty flag and getting off the sea onto the land. On that side, the real estate side is what I deal with, the certificates, origination of certificates. That's my part. And your part is the hapu and their land, the whole lot, not just a little bit here and there, the whole one lot, the whole country. And the government's got their title over the whole country. It's that bit of obelisk standing at Waitangi, Te Marae, that obelisk with 1840 treaty on. That's their title to the whole country. That's their title. We got a moai, which is the whole world and the whole Pacific. That's a memorial. They've got to have a memorial. That's their memorial to the title to the 1840 on that plaque. It's got all the information on it. It's a living document, and we got our living document too before all that happened. So those are some things that we have to think seriously about in these next few weeks. How we make this court liven up and do something with this court, since we have enough court cases to go on, and do something about the court cases. Get one land, you get the lot. That's what I'm saying. Something like that. But that's for Ngāpuhi and for other hapu to accept that this is the way to do it. This is the way, one shot, to do the whole government and Jacinda Ardern in her tracks.
One-stop shop.
One stop. We haven't used that flag yet. We only use it for protest. We haven't used it for business. A king wouldn't give a flag for protest. He gave it for business.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it. That he's using it for their business, because the iwi give them authority at Waitangi. Every time they go to Waitangi, you ask permission. Every year, Waitangi Day, ask for permission from the Navy to shoot their guns off to use it.
All the South Africa giving that.
Yeah, because they're getting money out of the government for their corporate business too. It's just another business. We're going to up against theirs. One business to go and shoot the whole of their businesses down with the flag. And this business we got registered here belongs to everybody. That Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea limited company belongs to everybody. I set it up for everybody to take and own it and use that against their company in Wellington, Her Majesty the Queen and Right of Use Company, and bankrupt them with a pound note on the head. They'll put a lien right over them, put a lien right over them, and then start printing it against them, one by one. But people we name and put their photos there that they can't get off. And I think I have an idea who's stopping them from taking it off. The Freemasons, because they've got a stake in everything I'm saying. Because of the certificate, the paper title, they put it together. That's all the experience I know about land. The land is okay, it's still there, but they got the use of it. They got the lease on it. It's just a lease. They have to give it back when they're finished with it in good condition of how they found it.
Like Hong Kong.
The only thing to do is treat everybody as tenants to dish it out to them, dish it out to the people, and take it off those government in Wellington that are creaming the whole lot for themselves. Yeah, that's just normal business. A trust is a normal trust. If it plays up, we have the right to audit it, to find what they're up to, and sack them. That's what I'm looking for, to sack the Queen off the trust, or whoever's running. It had to be on British soil, England soil land, not in Rome. All the Rome laws came out of the Admiralty in England on English soil land, where they did all their skullduggery business. From there, it branched out from there. So we have the legacy to that with the flag to keep us together, to have our stake in that business. That's the whole lot. The whole of wherever the Queen Victoria took it to the United Nations and it spread to all the other countries, that's still our business. We're still trust. We're still beneficiaries of that trust. Simple. Yeah, simple. That's the whole thing. And Andy over there, he's with the other British people we're talking to on Zoom. We've still got to put the Zoom together for them over there in Andy and put them together. I put this together with Andy in 2018 and 2019 period to make their organization over there, Moai Powerhouse Group Limited Company, to go that lot over there, and this one over here to go this lot over here, and join together. And we got our Zoom meetings. We got enough Zoom meetings of court hearings now to go the government with what we've said to them. We said legally to them. Yeah, on in front of everybody. You can't put a figure on how many witnesses there are watching what we're doing when nothing said. So it must be all right. So no Napui or nobody saying stop doing what you're doing. So there must be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I look forward to Bundy's report.
Yeah, so there, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because he's a rangatira up there that's leading them. And
because I do know, and talking with others about how Bundy has voiced his that he still wants to be in bed with the New Zealand Crown, and so that concerns me. Yeah.
Roger.
yeah, but it's very, to be very blunt, they have to tell everyone or tell us, are they going to the United Nations or they're going to stick with Britain? One way or the other.
Yeah.
King to Britain, Queen to United Nations.
It's very dangerous if our people up there are so ambivalent. You know, what I'm saying is 1 week they'll be on this track, and the next week change their mind all the time.
Or just sit on the fence and wait to see what happens. But at least if we get an indication, we've got at least 3 elders with us on this court. And so it would be nice if we got some more to say, go ahead. Like they did for me when they sent me to Westminster, go ahead. And just left me to go by myself. And no support, just go. You come back with the goods. Don't come back if you haven't got any. So it's more or less an unfinished job.
Yeah, and it's a bit
Yeah.
hard. It's a bit hard when, especially when no one's funded. It's like when I took the Kaupapa to the United Nations and all that on behalf of the Confederation Chiefs. All those who were with the Confederation Chiefs didn't even put a koha, had to fund it myself, you know.
Yeah.
So it does get disappointing when you're working with our people on that. They expect the few that given certain portfolios to fund everything themselves out of their own pocket.
So Carla and Alfred have put the flag into the United Nations, so it's there.
But because of the change of circumstances, we don't have to go with the United Nations, because at that time in 2004, now things have changed because of the COVID-19, and therefore we can no longer go down that track with that flag. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've got a right to, because we put it in, we've got a right to take it out.
Yeah, so long as they know we're alive and in business, and the flag will end up all over the place anyway, over there, and in any country, if we get past Boris Johnson in Britain. That's us. That's us, and Andrew and his crew there, waiting patiently for us. They're in the same boat. Everybody in the other countries are in the same boat. They're just waiting for us.
We've taken a slightly different approach, and we've looked at the Special Administrative Area, SAR, of Hong Kong, because that's the only other global example that we could see of a colonial colony like New Zealand was Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And the only contemporary removal of the colonial is Hong Kong. So we look to the modern example of Hong Kong and the transition into the SAR. And so occupation of the Crown colony and taking over all the mechanisms of trade and commerce of the colony, which is what China has done, seem to us to be the most, and this is why iwi especially are flip-flopping between the two examples you say, because they're not looking at independence. They're looking at partnership all the time. So we looked to independence, which is what the Confederation was about, was independence, but you're still looking for partnership in that independence. Whereas we at Naitama, we sought independence by a model. The only model we could see was the Hong Kong transition back to China under an SAR, Special Administrative Region. So that's what we've been pursuing.
So this is where Tim Chan is important for that.
He's Hong Kong.
Whereas Hong Kong is concerned, and because it's the two countries, Hong Kong and India, and that's where Tim Chan is working with Dilip Rupa, because it was those two countries, as well as Nelson Mandela for South Africa. It was those three that were able to break the yoke of legalism from the British legalism, and that's where we got to follow that. We've got to follow that pathway of those who preceded what we're trying to do. Yeah. Because
of treaty, yeah. And there was a few treaties in West Africa. I think there's about 3 or 4 countries in West Africa that also had treaty. The interesting thing for India was that it was right across their whole country, state by state had treaties. And that's what I was saying to Muriwai when we met in Takaha, John, about Hapu need to define themselves as states and recognize each other as states. to get authentic recognition as a sovereign state between each other first. That was kind of how we were going at up until last year.
Yeah, the key thing is, Peter, is not so much the treaties, it's about the constitution, okay? Because don't forget, a constitution has to be in place first, okay? Because the thing is, the treaty derives its constitutionally granted powers from the constitution. So what I'm saying, it's about, because, you know, what I'm trying to say is the New Zealand government try and push the narrative, the false narrative about the treaty being like the Magna Carta. No, that's not true at all. The treaty actually holds no weight whatsoever. It's actually the written constitution because it's backed up by all the King's Court benches, private contracts prior to it. The 6th of February 1840 treaty, there's no evidence that it had constitutionally granted powers from the actual Confederation of Chiefs, King's Court bench body, because the 6th of February 1840, that entity went under the New South Wales amended flag, which was the Queen's Court bench. So therefore the treaty is counterfeit, it's fraud. Yeah. So we're not interested when we say treaties, we have to look at the treaties prior to 1840.
I don't see the Treaty of Waitangi as anything constitutional at all. It's nothing but a trade agreement between Britain and the Confederate Chiefs. It's not a constitutional document at all. I don't believe that narrative.
That body was no different than a corporate iwi authority trust board. They weren't the Confederation of Chiefs on the 6th of February 1840, the form of Waitangi. They weren't at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they weren't the Crown Principal. 6th of February 1840, they weren't the Crown Principal. You know, the Crown Principal had passed hui on the 28th of October 1835. They got nothing to do with the 6th of February 1840 whatsoever.
Why?
There's no commercial nexus between the Queen's Court bench and the King's Court bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see now. See, this is the bit that's been missing for me until I've heard your guys call it, or that was as far as it would got. Yeah. Kia ora.
So we still need a military, a British military would be, or the United Nations 193 armies of the Vatican. That's one or the other to protect us and our interests. That's
I wondered about that. If the Royal Navy, the Royal Army, the Royal Air Force are actually ours anyway.
Yeah, it's now called the British Armed Forces. They took the Navy title out and they put it under that one title, then put it into the EU Parliament. So that's why they were flying the EU Parliament flags in Britain.
What about the Royal New Zealand Air Force, Army and Navy though?
Yeah, that's still similar to what Britain is doing. It's just for here, the Navy for here. And
but I mean, isn't that ours then if it's here?
Yeah, it's for us. They're flying on the cross run as obligated to us and the flag. And so the Navy video said that already. And so that's what I go on. I go on what the Navy officer said on the treaty ground. And so the Navy here, we don't pay their wages. So I got this pound note and use it and pay them in lieu of recovering debt from fraudsters as being the value of that pound note for now, and pay them with that.
Right.
That's logical because we have a right to pound note and a bank because that's been given to us by Queen Victoria and in 1888. So I'm using those instruments as
Mhm.
dead on them and making it known, making it public, that that's what we intend to do and will do when we make laws ourselves. And with affidavits, the video affidavit as well, and see where that goes. But we can do a lot if we start enforcing our note. If every one of us agree that that is one way to do it, to overcome the government and their way of making money out of us. Yeah. They've got the sole use of the land in their power. So we have a flag in our power, and higher authority, jurisdiction of Admiralty that put them on the land in the first place. And it'll always be asked the question, where does the government, where does Jacinda get her authority from over us? And she'll always end up on the iwi and the Governor General and the Queen, and the Queen will have to say from the King.
That's why they put a Māori as the Governor General. You know, they put all these Māori MPs and all that in position. Then they can say, well, we got the mandate from these guys,
from the Maori,
from our parliament.
Yeah. So they're sharing the Maori when the Maori's trying to struggle to share something with the iwi, and the iwi says, no, you sit there, we'll take care of everything for you. So I think it's about time the Hapu did something to tell the iwi where to go.
Yeah, it seems to have them on the run, actually, this hapu mana. It's something that they're really struggling with at the moment.
Yeah,
it seems to be the most powerful position to take.
Yeah, that's it. We just put our heads together and say, right, this looks good. We'll say somebody looks after this bit, somebody else looks after that bit, someone looks after this bit, and it should work out all right in a short space of time, in a short space of time of meeting each other. Yeah, that's all we got to do. We got to do what we're saying enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Muriwai still online? Gregory, are you there?
Yeah, bro.
It'd be good for you and I think to have an offline kōrero just about the military side, so I can just toss a few things around with you sometime.
Ka pai, bro. You got my digits.
Yeah, okay.
It was good to hear anybody else when no one else wants to talk. We must be on the right track.
Getting back to the New Zealand Armed Forces, they will be under instructions from the New Zealand government.
Yeah, because they get paid by them.
They get paid by them. Yeah.
If there was a hapu insurrection, I can't see them not following orders.
It's tricky because New Zealand's so small, Philip. I think it would be quite a challenge to them because they've never been challenged domestically since probably 1865 on a military level by hapu. So it'd be interesting to see the consensus of the army with so many of our people in the military, where their hearts actually lie. Who cares where their pay is coming from? This is more of an ideological thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of them waking up now, but it's like they sent a detachment over to England to teach those Ukrainians how to use those houses last week or the week before. So we still got Māoris ready to go for fight the white man's war.
Well, the possibility is high on both sides of it. You know, the military are basically made up of 70% of native people. And, you know, I think it is a philosophical thing whether they would bear arms against its own.
Yeah,
its standby ammunition and its standby resources ready to go are very limited at best. So really what you'd be looking at any sort of campaign is by power of numbers.
Yeah.
Standing up 200,000 people without arms in a physical sense and a consensus would certainly shake some generals' boots as far as an on-land command would go, or home country to command would go. So I wouldn't fear them too much, but the talk we've got to be careful of as hapu is not to be tagged with the terrorist title. So we have to be very careful how we word our conversations when it comes to empowering our mana through military might across the rohi. So I tautoko the thinking. We just need to be very careful how we speak as far as having a consensus across the nation is what that would look like. But yeah, I think it's limited at best as far as the constabulary could stand anything up in a quick time.
I concur.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's really the nutrition that the standing force has. They really only got, from a military point of view, could stand maybe 2,000 armed force. The rest would be administration, really. Police are much the same. So you're talking to maybe a maximum armed population of 5,000 across the whole country. And that was represented as a state of emergency after the second earthquake, when they went into a national state of emergency, and they prorogued the government for 3 days and stood the military up in martial law, and the numbers worked out about 3,000 across the country on a drop of a hat notice.
Yeah, that's really the finance. That's why I want to do the pound note and to get financial. And that's the first port of call, is to liquidate corrupted property. And that will start a cash flow to enough to do everything.
yeah. That's very important.
That's why I go for the high end. They can't say anything of the amount it is, and that's what I go under. Is no one can contest what we say unless they open their books, if they think it's not right. So there, that should get everything financial to pay the military here, or any military to come and sort things out.
Yeah, the people do have the right to ask for martial law. Has to come through a sovereign state, and the sovereign state in this case would be recognized through the kings.
Yeah,
But to actually implement martial law with against any foreign nation that's invoked martial law, there has to be in place an international maritime contract that's in breach.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've written 3 times to Andrew Little to request that into evidence, and he's remained quiet, then I make the call that there's no international maritime contract in place. Therefore, in saying that, therefore it's unlawful to actually invoke any statutes on the land in the absence of an international maritime contract.
Yeah.
Under international law, you cannot invoke statutes on the land, which is the Admiralty Maritime, the laws of the sea, onto the land against the people, unless there's a contract in place. And we are.
That's correct.
We are in breach of it. Well, how can we be in breach of that contract that doesn't exist? And the fact that Andrew Little held 3 times, and I've still got those instruments, and that will be placed into evidence before the King's Court bench against them. You know, Yeah, be bought before the British Admiralty of the fleet, King's Port then.
Who pays the ferryman? I think the expression goes.
Mhm. So it's 12:23 now, so I mean, it's, what is it? Was that 9:23 over there?
Getting late for
Yeah,
you.
pretty
Andy.
close.
9:23. Is there any other questions? Or anything else to bring to the table? Very interesting. Very interesting. Great points been made today.
Looks all right, Andy. I think you've done all right tonight.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good on that. Until next time. Do you know when the next time?
Yeah, it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday next week.
Thursday, yeah. Thursday.
You?
Thursday coming. Thursday coming, yeah. Thursday coming, cool. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Okay, then we'll call it then. With that then, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah. Is there just final one? Is there anybody else that wants to bring anything else? Anyone else got anything to say? Anything else?
Yeah. John, I will send you my email address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Okay.
it?
Yeah, kia ora.
Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll end the meeting now then. So it's now 12:24 in Greece. It'll be 10:24 in the UK. Or 10:25 now actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be 9:25 for New Zealand. Okay then. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, both.
Thursday, next.
Sure, everyone.
Yeah.
God bless.